Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 32 of Podfluxxx. Ricky, you may be wondering why I'm in this glorious, hideous, awful, terrible lighting. And the answer to that question is I've been voted off the island, relegated to the basement. I've been told that I am too loud and I use too many swear words and I am not allowed to record Podfluxxx around my children any longer. This news did not come from a lawyer or a police officer. It literally came from my children. So here I am in the basement of Casa de Fresh with shitty fluorescent lighting, the world's oldest Sopranos poster behind me, and I am in a bad mood. The Jets just got their dicks kicked in the dirt by the Buffalo Bills, and that's where I am mentally, and it's draining. How are you?
Cold. It's rainy and cold outside. It's in the
Oh,
low 70s.
the low
And
70s.
yeah, those are our Texas problems now, which I'll gladly take over 5 feet of snow.
So what happens once it hits like mid-December, January in Texas? All the brown people just go into hibernation.
That's what I do, yeah. I try not
Yeah,
to go outside. Yeah,
right.
I don't want that brisk cold breeze in my face. So
Not bad. Not bad. So we've got a lot to cover here tonight and not
yeah.
a lot of time to do it because it's already late and I am in a bad mood. So we are going to be a very AEW centric episode here tonight.
Yeah.
Covering the pay-per-view Full Gear 2023, which emanated live from the Kia Forum in Inglewood, California last night, and just a lot of news and notes and things that surrounded AEW this week and this
Yeah.
weekend. The first thing I want to start with before we jump into the bullshit of last night was, am I dreaming or did I see Ronda Rousey debut at a Ring of Honor taping?
Yeah, I saw that as well. I think she did that indie show the night before too, right? They there was like an indie show in LA, and I think she got face to face with Athena, and
Hmm.
and then I didn't realize she actually did the ROH taping. I think the next night. So
Right.
yeah,
It looked like she teamed with Marina
Shafir or
Shafir.
whatever.
Yeah.
So is she just kind of doing wrestling whenever she wants to? I guess because they didn't make an announcement like the
Like they
biggest
normally would.
women's attraction, female combat sports all time, just
Right.
casually showed up at a ROH TV taping.
Well,
um,
the I want to say it looked like a pretty solid house at that Ring of Honor taping that that she showed up at. So that's a good thing. If it's a random shot, I guess that's pretty cool. If they're bringing her in, and I've been sitting on this for about a day now. If they're bringing her in, is it pretty brilliant or pretty stupid to put her on ROH and hope to get some type of buzz going for that brand if you're actually going to make a run at doing something with it? Because that's a shot in the arm.
well, yeah, obviously. I mean, that's the $1 million question, right? What are they doing with Ring of Honor besides nothing? Um, so if that's the case, yeah, great. But I mean, you figured with the way Tony likes to make major announcements, that he would have said something about Ronda either coming in or signing to just do Ring of Honor, because that would help. That would allow her to be free and do what she wants to do, and then give Ring of Honor a big boost when they do have events, because they do have their pay-per-views still, like Final Battles coming up and all that stuff. So I mean, she'll sell those tickets. Yeah, I guess that's really the question: is what's really the plan, and how much effort is Tony putting into Ring of Honor itself? Who's in charge there? Who's booking it? Who's running that show? Besides Kingston just having the world title and carrying it around on AEW TV, what are they doing with it?
Right. Well, which is going to bring us into the next thing I want to talk about before we hop into Full Gear and everything that really surrounds this. Now, keep count with me if you can, right? There is the international title.
Oh.
Okay. The TBS, the TNT, the world title, the FTW title. Okay. There's the tag titles, the 6-man titles. Okay. So that's 7 AEW based titles, not to mention the Ring of Honor world title, the Ring of Honor tag titles, the Ring of Honor trios titles, the pure title, the TV title. Okay. That is now, we are up to, did I lose count at 17? We're up to 17 titles. Okay. I don't know. My fingers, there were more belts than fingers. And then once I got onto the second set of fingers, it got confusing. But they are having a tournament.
Yep.
Okay. To crown the Continental, and I did not misspeak. It is not the Intercontinental or the Outer Continental, right?
Just in the middle.
Just the Continental. It can only be defended on land. Okay. You can't defend it in the water.
Yeah, no.
Right? Not on the boat, not on a plane, only on land. You have to be on a continent to defend this title. And they're having a tournament, and they're pissing on our legs, telling us it's raining, and basically trying to say, like, oh, well, this is the Super J Cup of America.
No, it's not.
Well, because what they announced last night was Eddie Kingston is throwing his name in this tournament, and basically the winner of this tournament is going to be the Continental, the Ring of Honor, and the New Japan Strong title holder.
Right. And did you see that Brian withdrew from it?
He did withdraw from it.
Right.
Thank God, because do you remember? I think it was like around 05 or 06. What year did Vince McMahon fight Ric Flair at WrestleMania?
I don't remember the year that happened.
Okay, and then there was also, was it 17 when it was Flair and Taker in that hardcore match?
That was 17, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, this was all around this time where it was like, oh, 8-man ladder match. Let's throw Ric Flair out there, right? Yeah. It was like they were actively trying to assassinate Ric Flair in their ring, right? Yeah. I just feel like every time Bryan Danielson gets in the ring and has a match at AEW, they break him.
Yeah, for sure.
Like they're actively trying to kill him.
And that ends at the end of December, right? In the Nassau building. Yeah. So he's trying not to get hurt before he goes to Japan, I guess.
More than likely.
I'm thinking that's the only thing, right? Because this is going to be a tournament over weeks and weeks, and then we'll end that weekend. What is that again? What are they calling that? Worlds Collide?
At World's End.
Oh, at World's End. Okay. So that's like December 30th, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So
he needs to be in Japan on the 4th.
For the 4th, right?
Yeah.
So he didn't feel like making that extra leg of flying from JFK to
Right.
Detroit and then Detroit to
For the
Tokyo
East Coast, right.
to the other end of the world.
Because that's how you get into a Hulk Hogan time loop.
Right. Well, that's when you add the extra day and add 40 matches to your year.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I heard Kingston was putting both belts on the line, which is telling us that he's winning the tournament. And it really ruins everything, I think. What is the point in having a tournament to crown a new champion while having a double champion in the tournament already?
Right.
Devalues the championships that you already currently hold. Because shouldn't he be focused on final battle for Ring of Honor coming up? That's saying that he's winning that match as well, right? Whoever's challenging
Or
him
even
for.
when, I mean, I don't follow it like closely, like probably like you do. When was his last strong shot?
Then I think they just had one the other week, like just recently. It wasn't they had one Las Vegas, and I think they had a couple in like 3 weeks. It just diminishes all the titles because Ring of Honor's final battles when you was kind of WrestleMania where you would switch the belt, or you spent all year building up to fight without honor with two guys and the world championship were your big money matches. So I think final battles even like a week or two before that pay-per-view. So who's to say he's gonna have both belts then? I mean, he's just telling us that he is. So I don't know. I don't like any of it, obviously. Another underneath belt. They can't even get their world title to mean something, let alone 19 other. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, it's just it was just stupid. I honestly I thought, as I do most AEW news, I thought it was a joke. And then as I read it more, and then I guess Tony Khan had tweeted something about it, and like every other comment was, you really need another belt. Like, it was just ridiculous. Like, it was pretty much a waste. Nobody really likes tournaments unless it means something, and you're just randomly throwing a tournament out there. How many times do they do the tournaments? Like they have a tournament to be a contender almost every other week. It's like his big announcements. It's just too much. He don't know what he's doing. So his easy fix is say, hey, let's just get everybody together. We'll do a tournament and it'll end here. It's just dumb. It's fucking stupid.
All right. Well, we're about to get into Full Gear. I'm going to travel a little out of order here on the Full Gear recap, just because I wanted to cover this separately before we got to everything else. So Will Ospreay came out, and he was the big announcement that Tony Khan's been touting that he was going to be made for about a week. So Will Ospreay comes out to the ring and commits career suicide, but says, hold on, not yet. Just give me a chance. Did you happen to hear this?
I did not. No.
He was basically like, hey, wrestling fans, please bear me, Ricky, while I quote. And he goes, while I finish up in New Japan. So I'm not coming yet, but I'll be here for the pay-per-view in February. Right? That's when their Revolution pay-per-view is.
Okay.
January or February.
That's Sting's last match.
Yes.
Right.
So basically he's dumped on the fact that clearly whatever he's doing at the Dome this year, he's going to take the L with.
Right.
And come be a part of the circus. So I saw a tweet today on Twitter where it was a picture of him, Bryan Danielson, and Omega, and it said, AEW really has the 3 best wrestlers in the world. And I thought to myself, well, it has one of them, and then it's got 2 of the really, really great spot monkeys in the world. So, Ricky, pound for pound, going down that roster, does AEW have the best wrestlers in the world on that roster?
They have the actual best wrestler in the world, yes, but he wasn't in that picture.
No.
The best wrestler on the planet right now is Pac, by far. His heel character is believable. His look, when he's not wrestling the flippy guys, he's a nasty heel. It's believable. Once he was, Neville and WWE, and he turned heel on Rich Swann to start off that 205 show. His work was just on a whole nother level as far as promo wise, his believability. I don't believe he would sit there and do a long promo, and he never did. He got his point across. He was nasty in the ring. He looks like a monster. And then when he got to AEW, they started doing those. I don't know if you saw any of those vignettes where he's like sitting on somewhat of like a throne type thing. And
right.
It's like a minute and a half of him just saying how he was going to run through the entire roster. He's the best all around wrestler besides AJ Styles. I believe that he's the best wrestler in the world. As far as the other 2 guys, yeah, they do their stuff well. They're good at, I guess, inserting large chunks of their spots, sequences into matches.
Right.
They are not the best wrestlers in the world, though. Of course, and this is going to go for all those top New Japan guys coming.
I'm here.
They're coming off, big runs in New Japan because they're finishing up. New Japan's building them up before they leave so they can be beat. Ospreay's, pretty obviously having a great year so far with all the high profile matches he's had and how he's performed. I'm not saying that those guys aren't great at what they do, but Brian obviously is one of the best wrestlers out there. So is Claudio. So is Joe. They all, Swerve is good when he's not doing, garbage matches.
Swerve.
Yeah, I mean, when he's not doing ridiculous stuff, like he got real silly with AR Fox and Lucha Underground one time, and it was like it went from like wow to like it's a bit too much, and I think he did it again, with this. You can't really knock those guys either because like they're just going out there trying to, show everybody that they can go and what they're willing to do, which we all appreciate. It's just, same thing with MJF. Like we'll get into that, but yeah, I don't know. No, but I mean, Ospreay's going to be fumbled because if you couldn't figure it out with Jay White, and he's more athletically in tune to the gymnastics part of wrestling. Once he gets comfortable in AEW, then the silliness will come out too, which is, like Jay White's his personality is not that way. So what we see with him is a little more toned down, but he'll still do the silly. With Ospreay, I could see him like a kid in a candy store and just flipping all over the place for no reason. So it's going to be, I was praying that he would go to WWE just to give the big FU to all the AEW nerds and go there and become like a mega star, because there I believe they would, debut him, shine him up real good, show him and teach him the main event style of wrestling there.
And then get him involved.
And then, yeah, exactly. And then start inserting him in. I mean, he's only 30. So in the next few years, he'll have he'll be at his physical peak. Being around those monsters, you have no choice but to adding more size, which is, if he can get a little bit more size, I think he's perfect for, being a standout WWE, wrestler. But over here, he's just going to get lost in the shuffle. So whatever.
But he has
if his
a
bank
chance.
account's doing good.
You were just saying how Pac really is the greatest wrestler in the world right now. He's probably also the highest paid wrestler in the world right now, right? Because dude works like once a year.
Has to be.
Right?
Once a year.
Getting paid, on your work, there's nobody out there making more money than Pac. Nobody.
Pac has that Brock Lesnar schedule and isn't even trying to have it. He's
right. Yeah. He's just lucky he lives far away and his boss can't remember anything.
Was he at Wembley?
Yeah. No. You know what? I don't friggin' remember.
He didn't even come to the show that's up the street from his house.
I went down that night, and that show was so long. Yeah.
If he wasn't there, he's the greatest worker of all time. They could have went to his house and knocked on the door, and he probably just killed the lights in the kitchen, like, everybody quiet.
Shh. Get down. The fucking money mark is at me door.
Right.
All right. Let's get into this fucking atrocity. So this thing started. You know what? I don't even want to say that, Ricky, because I half-ass enjoyed this show. There were parts of it that I liked. There's nothing was like, oh my God, that was incredible. But like, there was stuff on here that was good. And I was able to watch a lot of this wrestling show without groaning at it, which is how you've got to rank these AEW pay-per-views.
Right.
So there was a match on the pre-show that I did not see, but I did see MJF and Samoa Joe versus the Gun Boys.
Yeah.
And that was the pre-show match where they did the angle where MJF got hurt. So basically, Joe and MJF were working the match, and then, MJF tagged himself in to try and get the glory at the end, and then Joe tagged himself back in. They hit a double muscle. Each one of them hit a muscle buster. They got the pin. Joe left, and then Jay White came down, and they all got on MJF, and they Pillmanized his leg, which I want to right there. Excalibur was like, oh, they Pillmanized his leg. So instead of being like, oh man, they wrapped his leg in the chair and stomped on it from the top rope and selling the drama of it and the aggression of it, he called it they Pillmanized him, which is what the boys in the back call it when they're calling the spot. Exactly. And so now he's giving it a name, and it's just it's a wrestling move now.
It's a wrestling angle that they all know about. Right.
So that shit drives me nuts.
Hey, do you remember at WrestleMania 4 when Hogan teamed with Bam Bam Bigelow to wrestle the Rockers on the pre-show?
No, I don't think that occurred.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
You know what I do remember from WrestleMania 4? I do remember Hulk Hogan in the main event. Right?
You know what I remember from WrestleMania 4?
And the people paid the money to see him.
I remember the entire crowd chanting Hogan, Hogan during the main event of WrestleMania.
Right.
Yeah. They weren't singing his song. They were chanting for him.
Were they chanting Kangaroo Kick by any chance?
No.
No.
They just cared genuinely to see that one person. So I'll just leave that there.
So they do that, right? And then Adam Cole comes down on crutches.
I don't remember the Trump Plaza being half tarped off either. So
No,
that's another point I'll go ahead
no,
and
they were
throw
literally
up
at capacity.
there.
This
The
kid
next
named
year
Gorilla
too.
Monsoon used to say, jam packed swinging from the rafters.
Right.
That
The
was kind
next
of
year
his
too.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the year before. Yeah. But go ahead.
Right. Wait, the year after, right? Five. That was kind of a big one too, no?
That was
I mean,
Macho.
6 was huge. Yeah, 5
6
was
wasn't.
Macho. 6 was
Yeah.
Warrior.
Yeah, but
That was Skydome, brother.
yeah.
Anyway, so they're like MJF can't compete, okay? Because his
Okay.
leg is hurt so badly that they're going to
Humanized.
have to right, and they're going to have to strip the title. But Adam Cole's like, "Wait a minute. I had 2 ankle surgeries last weekend and I'm on crutches. I'll defend that title." So the one guy is too hurt to work,
Right.
and the guy that's hurt even worse is
Can
okay
do it.
enough to work for him.
He can do it. Makes
He can
sense.
do it. Right.
All right.
So this is how the pre-show ends. And now the pay-per-view begins. And it starts with the 6-man tag. Okay? And there's this children's choir on the stage going la 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 la, basically singing the high note of the Christian Cage music, right?
Oh no.
But they were the drizzling shits, right? It was the absolute worst choir I've ever heard in my life. Okay. And they were all like these nerdy looking, frumpy looking, like they weren't even like the good choir from the black church, like
Right. Yeah.
they were the frumpy science nerds from science choir.
Right.
And it was fucking abysmal. Okay. And last week when we did the preview, we were like, hey, Nick Wayne is basically
Right.
one of these things is not like the other.
Right.
Okay. But the kid knew exactly what his job was,
Mm-hmm.
and he did it fantastically. Which was to take all the bumps for Christian,
Yeah.
take all the bumps for Luchasaurus, and bounce off Sting like he was a goddamn Super Bowl.
Right.
So now, in hindsight, having that kid there with Christian and the dinosaur is actually pretty fucking logical. And Nigel McGuinness is trying to be a heel commentator, and he's trying way too hard.
Oh no.
When Ric Flair made his entrance for the 6-man,
Yeah.
and he said something almost, this is almost the exact verbiage, but Nigel McGuinness was like, Ric Flair's got more comebacks than herpes, and he tends to stay longer, but nobody cares. Right? So he compared Ric Flair to venereal disease. Okay? When we were young, they called them STDs. Now they call them STIs or something different. Makes them sound less scary. But still, you just called fucking Ric Flair physical herpes. Right? And then Flair starts trying to get physical with Christian, and it doesn't look good. But the rest of the 6-man was palatable. It wasn't
Mhm.
bad. It was a good 6-man tag. At the end of it, Darby gets on the mic and is like, "This is the last fucking time Sting's gonna wrestle in California. So how about a fucking hand for?" He had to like beg the people and curse at them to get them to come up for Sting, and then Sting took his moment. There were nice wide crowd shots of the building. The building did not look terrible, right? But they
Yeah,
said,
I saw a picture. It looked really good.
but the way they set the hard cam was like 5 rows and then a wall. Whereas they would have, if they would have put the hard cam where the ramp was, you would have got the shot of the full building.
Oh, you mean, yeah, where it said like Kia Forum, right?
Yeah.
Like in the middle? Yeah, I noticed that in a bunch of clips. I thought, why are they in so tight on that? Like it looks
Well, because they were
uh,
set up in a corner of the building.
oh,
You know, at the last the last update was they moved about 13,000 tickets.
oh,
All
that's
right.
good.
That is
Yeah.
good. But you could
Yeah.
still fit uh 7,000 more motherfuckers in there, right? So
Yeah.
they're set up in a way where they're um tarping off 7,000 seats for production without
Right.
making it obvious, right? So you got to think they're not actually in the middle of the building, they're on a
Right.
side,
Yes.
right? Or like
True.
they're 2/3 into the building.
Yes.
So they just the way they set up it, just it made it look like one of these impact tapings
Yeah.
where it's
I know what you mean. Hmm.
like 5 rows of floor seating and then
Yeah.
like, you know, the wall
Yeah.
where they
Like
actually
the
had
next,
like a decent
like,
house. Yeah.
yeah, like the next level, like it's like too in tight or something.
Yeah. It was just
Yeah.
it
Not
was
good.
it was not good.
Yeah. It
And
didn't look
then
good.
um and that bothered me because then they would cut to these shots and you'd be like, "Oh man, this place is full. Like
Yeah.
what are
I
they
saw a
doing?"
bunch of pictures. It looked amazing, but just the angle of the camera sitting, it was like straight on to that balcony part or whatever that was. It
Right. It
just
was yeah.
looked bad.
Um Also, Dave Meltzer is reporting that the pay-per-view did around 125,000 buys. So, the next match was for the International Championship. It was John Moxley, Orange Cassidy 2, and they made a point to emphasize the 2, which tells me there's going to be a 3. Uh, and I didn't want to see any of them. So Orange Cassidy won this one,
Yeah.
and I just noticed that not I didn't just notice that John Moxley sucks because you know John Moxley sucks, but he'll sell a kick to the stomach, he'll sell an arm drag, you know, like he'll sell insignificant shit. As soon as you hit that motherfucker with a move that you need to make money for you, he doesn't sell that at all. Right? He doesn't sell the shit that you use to get yourself over. Orange Cassidy hit him with what those that stun dog millionaire, you know what that is?
No.
It's like a sliced bread but forward into a stunner. All right? And
Okay.
then Excalibur goes, "Stun dog millionaire," right? But he doesn't sell it, and then he traps him and starts raining down those shitty elbows he does. Okay? So the stunner, the move that put out The Rock, The Undertaker, Kane, Big Boss Man, all right? The New Age Outlaws, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Mankind. No, fuck you, I'm dropping elbows on it. He hit him with like 10 Superman punches. Like this, it just, the guy doesn't, like, I don't know how people like don't get to the back and want to fight him immediately. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, yeah.
imagine like you're out there with this guy and you're working and you hit your fucking brain buster, pick him up, and then hit him with that shark bite neck breaker you did, and the guy stands right up and looks at you and goes like this, like a fucking drunk gypsy. Like, what do you? Oh, fuck John Moxley. I don't get it.
I don't know. I'm not a fan either, so I'm not going to defend it. It's just not good all the time.
Like honestly, like, to work a match with somebody like that who doesn't sell your stuff.
Right.
Like, don't you come back and go directly to the promoter and be like, I've got no desire to work a program with this guy?
Yeah, you end the match as quick as possible so none of your other stuff looks weaker as time goes on, obviously. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel like
can,
if you got to work him again, you just don't do any of your stuff.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it just, I don't know. He's just one of those guys where he knows that he can do what he wants and how he wants to do it. And who's going to argue? He's a top guy there and treated like, so that's why he stays there, you know. The guys that go away from WWE and stay away from WWE a lot of the times are because they can't go back, you know.
Right.
Otherwise they would. I mean, that's just how it is.
And then I believe after that match, we then got was it the Tony Storm? Hang on, let me pull my notes up here. Yeah, it was Tony Storm with Hikaru Shida, and they do this deal, right? So referee Aubrey is the referee for this match. All right. And so they do this deal where, like, she sneaks the high heel off of the tray. You know, she's got the butler. Luther is the butler.
No.
Okay. She's got a butler. And it's Chris Jericho's friend Luther.
Oh, okay. The bag boy.
Even though Vinny used to work there as a butler. And he got pretty good at being a butler on TV. And now they actually need the butler on TV. So they released Vinny and recast fucking... The whole thing is stupid.
Vinny was a butler?
Yeah, he worked for Arya Daivari. He was Daivari's butler.
Vinny was in AEW?
Yes.
As a butler?
Yes.
Oh, he's lucky I'm not in locker rooms anymore. Okay.
So anyway, whatever. He was there and they gave him money.
That's all that matters, yeah.
Right. That's the important part. So she gets this high heel and she's like trying to hide it from the referee. And the referee sees it. And then she takes it away. And then she goes and picks up the other high heel and like blatantly tries to attack Hikaru Shida with it. And Aubrey does nothing. Nothing. She took away, it must have been the left shoe is illegal, but the right shoe is within the bounds of the rules.
Right. Right.
So
for the world title, right? This was for the world championship. Okay.
And then later she took the silver tray, this platter, and she stuck it in her trunks in her ass and set Shida up so she can do the ass attack deal to her in the corner. Except for the tray started falling out of her ass. So she runs, I swear to God, Rick, she runs back to the corner, resets the tray, right? But the tights she's wearing basically just shows all ass meat. So even though she resets the tray, you can blatantly see the tray sticking out of the bottom of her ass meat. Okay? And she hits her with the hip attack. Aubrey goes down to count it, and Aubrey is face to ass with her ass. So she's got to look the other way while she's counting the 3 to not see the goddamn tray.
All right.
Okay? And then Toni Storm wins back the world title, and she's now a 3-time women's AEW world champion. Which brings us right to where we were last week. What was the point on putting the belt on Shida when everybody just wanted to see Toni Storm versus Saraya anyway?
There wasn't. Yeah. I don't know. Do they have like does Shida have some sort of quota times she needs to be champion before she leaves there or something?
I don't know. It must be
because she's like a 2-time champion, right?
I believe she is also a 3-time champion.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. That's stupid, obviously.
You know, it's like, who booked this shit?
Yeah.
Like, even if Tony Khan is like, here, listen, this is my idea, okay? And then he gives this idea to an agent. And an agent brings it to the talent, right? Like, the agent still has the responsibility and a little bit of the power to kind of tweak to make it come off good. Like, how come
well, the agent's job is to make it make sense.
Right.
And like, you know, obviously with the talent. This is what I'm talking about when I'm saying like no one's back there saying this doesn't make sense or this is stupid or what are we doing this for, you know? I don't know. I would be real curious to see what that looks like when they hand off the assignments to the agents. Like, are they just making the match for that night, I guess? Because that's what it looks like when the match is happening. You know, the match is just happening for that night. They're not looking at what it's going to look like, you know, 6 weeks from now, you know,
right?
Story wise, you know, like let's do everything now because we're having the match right now. And then, oh yeah, by the way, you're going to do it again next week or in 2 weeks, or, you know, we're going to do this in 3 weeks at the pay-per-view. You know, they're just doing everything that they can do the second they get that matchup. And it's as if the agent's like, man, that sounds great. Sounds like it's going to be the best match of the night. Okay, I did my job. Like, I'm out of here.
Right.
That's what it seems like.
So, the next match was that 4-way tag team match that I was telling you about with Big Bill and Ricky Starks versus LFI, which is Roosh and Drilistico.
Right.
Versus FTR versus the House of Black.
Okay.
What I did not know when we went over it last week was that this was going to be a ladder match.
Oh.
So basically it was a 4-way ladder match.
For what?
For the AEW World Tag Team titles.
Oh, for the belt. Oh, because Starks and
Big Bill have them.
Oh, that's right. I kept thinking FTR still did. Okay.
So everybody took a bunch of unnecessary risks.
Yeah,
it was
sounds good.
Big clusterfuck of a ladder match.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right.
Dax and Cash were made to do things that they probably would not do on a typical evening. And then
there was no grabbing a hold.
Yeah, there was grab a hold for dear life is what it was. Right? And then Big Bill and Ricky Starks won. So they walked in with them, they walked out with them. It wasn't a terrible ladder match. But you have 8 guys out there with ladders, and it's exactly what you thought it would be.
Yeah, of course.
The next match was my second favorite match of the night, and it was a sleeper. It was Julia Hart versus Chris Statlander versus Sky Blue. And they had a pretty technically sound, logical three-way match. And the finish was Kristen hit her deal. And as she went down to cover the girl that she hit it on, Julia Hart shit canned her, took the fucking pin, and ran off with the belt.
Why is Sky Booty so sad now?
Because she got hit with the mist.
Who did?
Sky Booty.
Got hit with the mist from who? Muda?
No, from Julia Hart. Muda's mist doesn't possess people.
Tajiri just showed up? Like,
no, the Julia Hart, she
why?
Because Malachi Black blew her first.
That's not how it works. Do you know how the blowjobs work?
Well, no, listen. He blew her, right? And then she went all crazy from it. So once she's crazy, can now go and blow other people, and it makes them nuts.
All right. My kind of locker room.
Yeah, so once you get blown by somebody in the House of Black,
you're allowed to just go blow everybody.
Yeah, you inherit mist and sadness.
So Sky Booty got blown, and then now she's sad because she had mist on her.
Yes,
that's what we're
right. The mist makes you evil now. Now, this isn't Tajiri or Muda or WWE mist. Where it burns and hurts.
Right.
This is like life-altering mist.
So when the mist hits you, you just fall down and think about how you've been doing everything in your life wrong.
Right. Then you go and get a scary mask with horns.
Oh.
And start walking around with giant, creepy tattooed guys.
Okay. Got it.
All right.
Yeah.
So don't ever let one of them blow you.
No. I don't want to be sad.
No, I mean,
I don't want a sad blowjob.
Right. Who wants to get blown and be sad because of it?
Yeah.
And then you got to buy a weird mask. Those masks look expensive.
I was gonna say, yeah. That's what's so sad. You're like, shit, I gotta spend all my money on this.
I have to pay for I work here and I have to pay for this mask. So the next match, right, was my favorite match of the night, but it was also a horrendous spectacle of all types of wrestling that I hate.
Oh no. Was this the Page?
And it was the Swerve Strickland and the Adam Page match.
Okay, now, so I will say that before we go shitting on it, the effort and the reasoning for doing crazy stuff, I get.
Yes.
And you can appreciate that type of effort.
Yes.
I just wish that it wasn't so outlaw, some of the spots that I saw.
Yes.
And I'm sure you'll go into detail on those. But didn't they have an issue with the pizza cutter a couple years ago, and now they're using a staple gun?
Yes. Now.
Okay.
The reasoning. Now, normally, I hate this kind of shit. Right? Yeah. And especially they do this kind of shit there all the time.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But they actually had a storyline here in place with characters that got to an emotional place.
Yeah.
Where this was a logical violence. You know what I mean? Like, you broke into my house, you came at my wife and my children, you know, like, I'm gonna fucking hurt you. Like, you can understand
Right.
the Adam Page perspective. And then
Right.
you can understand the perspective of Swerve Strickland from his character standpoint of him being such an evil, maniacal prick
Mm-hmm.
that, like, he's down for this, right? And the staple gun shit, I hate, right? But Adam Page took one of his alleged son's finger paintings and stapled it to Swerve Strickland's face. Okay? Like, this shit was nuts. And then Swerve Strickland was bleeding a gusher, and he
Yeah.
was
So.
bent over selling something, and Page laid down on the floor underneath
Yes.
him and opened his mouth and collected the other man's blood in his mouth and then stood up like Triple H and spit.
Right.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Gnarly. But then, like, this was star making for Swerve Strickland.
For Swerve. Right.
There was a point where he he cut off Adam Page and he picked up the staple gun and started staple gunning himself while laughing like the creepiest prick I've ever seen. Like, dude,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of the spots were like so outlaw and so dangerous and just like uncalled for and unnecessary, but like the emotion from both of the guys was like some of the realest shit that AEW has ever done. And that's the only reason why I liked it.
Yeah. The thing about that though is a good booker or an educated booker, or just somebody that should know better in the back, should have enforced some sort of no hardcore of any kind for like 4 to 6 weeks prior to this
Yes.
pay-per-view. Let these guys build it, and let them just do what they did. But like you said, they do that type of shit all the time. To the uneducated fan or the casual wrestling fan who's not a wrestler, uh, they don't know the difference between this type of match and a last man standing match on Dynamite.
Right.
They see it all as hardcore. It's the same. Granted, the level was obviously different here, right? But like, why muddy up the waters so much a few weeks prior and have anything that even kind of resembles that? If anything, these two should have been teasing that type of stuff constantly going into this, and then
Right.
never really getting it and then getting let loose at the pay-per-view. That should have been the whole point. I mean, how hard would it be to tell Mox, look, we don't need blood from
You and
uh
Orange Cassidy.
yeah, like from September till now. We didn't need to see blood. Unless it happened hard way or something, we don't need to see ladders. We don't need to see any of that stuff from September-ish till now, because you got all these guys, especially these two guys that are going out there with a emotional story that they're going to tell with all the bells and whistles. Let them do it. And it would have made everything on the show better, because even the ladder match would have been that much more special, if we hadn't seen a table and a ladder and chairs for the past
Right.
few weeks on TV, and especially blood. If these guys are going to go out there and dirty it up, like from October on, you're just like, dude, no blood, nobody's, none of it. It would have made more sense, and these guys, it would have been more special, and it wouldn't
Yeah.
have just been like you said, well, they do this shit all the time.
But what I did like about this, which is like something that never happens with the AEW gimmick matches,
Yeah.
it felt natural.
Mm.
Like it didn't feel like they were running spots. Like it was ugly. It wasn't super choreographed or anything. Like there was a spot where Swerve Strickland swung the barbed wire chair, and a piece of the barbed wire like just came unhooked from the chair and hooked across Paige's face. Like you couldn't have planned that. Like, you know, like, and I mean, they also remember when they put that list of rules out a few months ago.
Yeah.
They threw every one of those fucking rules right out the window. They did a pile driver on the barricade. Like they were, and he was leaking.
Yeah, I
And
saw. Yeah.
he was standing up on the barricade, just like dripping into the crowd. Like,
yeah.
and then the cinder
I
block
was.
spots, but then they killed
Yeah.
it when Brian Cage got involved at the end.
Yeah, of course it did, because it's Brian Cage. I was gonna say, like, with those two guys, you know, I'm sure they had the time because they did invest a lot into it. So with those two guys, I didn't expect it to be bad at all. I mean, I didn't want it to be a garbage match either, but I knew that, you know, they were going to take their time and it was going to be just that, like a star making moment for Swerve. Like, you know, it just, you know, is, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like
he can
it
be the
was,
most viable and believable heel in that company. Like now.
yeah. Oh, he's there. Like I had said about Ali, Mustafa Ali, like he needs to go there and like get his shit in. Like, you know, and then Swerve's doing just that. Swerve, like I got to know him really well, you know, and got to work with him. And once he started, you know, kind of branching out after Lucha Underground, like you know, he was going to take advantage of whatever opportunities he was getting, you know. I wish he was doing it in WWE, but I mean, maybe he'll go back someday.
So after the Swerve Strickland match was the Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho versus the Bucks. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. My boiler just kicked on, so if it's a little loud, I apologize. That Swerve Strickland and Adam Page match was a lot.
Yeah.
And it was like 30 minutes long. And I really needed to take a nap.
Sounds like a good time.
As soon as the Young Bucks music hit, I was like, oh, cool. And I rolled over and caught like a 15-minute power nap. So I have no idea what happened in this match. I did wake up in time to see the Bucks throwing a tantrum at the end of it. So I assumed that Jericho and Omega won and now possess the tag team title opportunity that used to belong to the Bucks.
What?
Remember the Bucks won some other retarded 4-way match that gave them a future title shot? And we were like, oh, does anybody want to see FTR and Bucks 4?
Right.
And then they switched the belts off of FTR and put them onto.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the Bucks, that title shot, they put it on the line against Omega and Jericho.
Okay.
Because that makes sense. And then they lost. So now Omega and Jericho get a title match
against Starks and Big Bill.
Yes. Because nothing says drawing money like Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho versus Ricky Starks and a man named Big Bill.
Okay. Next.
And then after that was the main event.
All right.
So Jay White comes to the ring.
Right.
And then Adam Cole's music hits.
Yeah.
And Adam Cole comes to the ring. And then the ring announcer is doing his announcements, right?
Yeah.
But he announces Adam Cole at 220 pounds.
No.
And then immediately proceeds to announce Jay White as 222 pounds. Okay? Now, Jay White looks like he ate Adam Cole compared to Adam Cole.
Right.
And you're going to come onto pay-per-view television and tell me that there is a 2-pound difference between these men. Like, one of them, he's shorter, but looks like he's built like a full-grown adult man. And Adam Cole, as talented as he is, as sweet of a human being as he is, looks like he grew up in a bubble in Sandusky, Ohio.
All right.
Those are just little things that I pick up on, because I feel like somebody should have been like, oh, what do you announce Adam Cole? Like, Justin Roberts, you're a professional ring announcer.
Right.
You should have been able to look at one of these guys and been like, I think we should change somebody's weight here.
So what does MJF come weighing in at? 267 pounds?
Right.
Since he has actual shape.
Yeah. 6'5", 6'5", 267. Okay.
Can we get Jesse Ventura to do the WrestleMania 3 tail of the tape with everybody?
Right.
That would be great.
Or
ankles and wrists.
Do you remember every time Hogan was off the gas and Monsoon would be like, oh, Hulkster looks like he really leaned out for this one.
He's leaning up, for the speed.
Yeah.
For his speed.
Yeah.
That's what he was snorting to fucking get that small.
So, and as the bell's about to ring, all of a sudden you hear an ambulance, right? Because when you come back from the hospital, and if you got a ride there in an ambulance and you don't have a way back, they just give you the ambulance.
They do return you in the ambulance. That is right. You're right.
But
in LA, at least. In LA, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you got your license, you're good to go.
So you hear like bloop, 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 bloop. And then they cut to the back and he comes pulling in to the Keam Forum, driving the ambulance. Right? And he goes to get out. And I noticed it because I noticed these kind of things. He didn't put it in park. He was like halfway. No. He was like halfway out the door and had to reach back in and put it in park. Okay. And then he comes hobbling to the ring. And the match starts, and he does like one thing and then falls down on his body weight. So he's really selling the leg the whole way through. And it was a good match. He did this crazy, like Jay White was standing on the apron and he just fucking box jumped over the top rope and gave him a cutter to the floor. Like, it was, he's starting to branch out into like some like spotty, jumpy, flippy kind of spots, which I'm not really a fan of.
Right.
But there was nothing really, anything. And like, I feel like about both guys, like nobody really did anything here that stood out. You know what I mean? Like this could have been the first match. It could have been the third match. It could have been the last match. Like, it was just, they had a wrestling match. They told the story. I mean, one guy's leg hurts, but
that's another inexperienced, a sign of inexperienced booking, because they should have had a backstory like the Swerve and Hangman style, where we did some stuff leading up, where it was just them. And that's what I don't like, what they're doing with MJF, where they're stretching him out too thin, where he's interacting with everybody. instead of the one guy that has his belt that he's trying to get back. That's really, his, and this guy's stolen it, and instead he's whispering in Omega's ear, he's in Joe's face. He's Wardlow's punking his ass out on TV. It's everyone should be going after him. It shouldn't be him interacting with everybody else, and what I mean by that is everybody else should be calling him out, but not interacting with him.
Right.
You can get those stories across without hurting your world champion and spreading them out too thin. They didn't put enough time with these two. And if you were an experienced booker and Jay White's style and you know what MJF's going to do, you would have gave us a buffer match right before. I mean, I guess there was one, but I don't know. The whole card was, I want to say a little bit much, but that's AEW style, to kind of be too much. So I would have just built this.
I know I didn't watch the Bucks match, but there's no chance that they didn't do everything, right?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you could have,
that
the show needs to be
for the Will Ospreay thing.
Yeah, that show should have been laid out better to build to the main event, and they don't do that. They don't. It's like if you're last, you're too bad for you. Like, and it's as simple as just rearranging a couple pieces underneath. And if you're really trying to build your main event champion, which they are not, clearly they are not. They're just saying he's just another guy on the show, and his belt's just one of 17 others that we have. It's not a big deal. So it is what it is. It's just, MJF is done. He's young, so he'll be able to rebound from this someday. But he's no draw. He's just like everybody else. What made him special and different, and unique, and everything else, they've taken away from him. And they've like shit in his face and then told him, that it's potpourri. So they've destroyed him, and then they let him go to the media scrums and ham it up and act like an idiot even more so. So now everyone's laughing at him, instead of laughing at what he's saying. It's fucking stupid. It's here's the thing with WWE, you may not like what you're going to do, but if you're really as good as you think you are, you'll get to that top spot, and then you'll be able to do it at the right way at the very, very top of the industry. At AEW, if you got some steam behind you, they think, oh, you know what you're doing? Yeah, go out there and do your stuff, get yourself over. Meanwhile, everyone's doing that. So there's no stuff to get over because the crowd's already seen everything and then some. So there's no structure there. There's no boss there. Nobody knows what they're doing. And the people that do know what they're doing, they're not standing up and saying, hey, this is wrong. They're just sitting there thinking, fuck it. I'm getting 6 figures. This clown can do whatever the fuck he wants, So, and that's what they're doing. Tony Khan is a money mark, like we all know. And I'm just happy that those guys are making money. That's it. It's as simple as that.
Let me ask you something. Is there any real reason in the world of professional wrestling to have a fucking post-show press conference?
No. Look,
this is a complete self-serving vanity. Yes. Everybody look at me and what I just did. That's what you're saying?
Yes, that's all that is. That is, especially when it's, Tony Khan's only letting in the certain people that he wants, because I've listened to other people say that I tried to get in and they won't let me. And right there tells you that he wants only certain people there asking certain types of questions. And yeah, it's just like, look I can play with all my toys. I can do this. I can do that. You're all here because of me. He's just, it's like one of those things. I used to work for this guy in Pittsburgh, right? Um, his name was Norm Connors, and he ran uh, IWC in Pittsburgh for years and years, and it was like Steel City Wrestling before that. Uh, anyways, he sold the promotion to the ring announcer, this guy named Chuck Roberts, I think his name was, and I had talked to Chuck because I was working for Norm for I don't know 3 years straight. And of course, Chuck's like, well, budget cuts and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I came back a long time later, and he was in the main event in a cage match, with the guys that he liked, the cool kids against the other bad guys, blah blah blah. Anyways, the first thing I remember telling him when I guess they officially it was Norm's last show. Anyways, I remember saying to him right to his face, don't make this about you. Like the fans are like hardcore fans that love that product. I said, keep making it about the wrestlers, and it only took a few months before he asked his girlfriend to marry him in the ring. And then did the whole, oh, look, I'm going to be in a cage. I'm going to jump off the cage where I'm going to have 19 people catch me. So I'm safe, and it just, I feel like that's Tony Khan. He's like, he can't get in the ring and do it, but any other, corner he can turn and pop his head in, he's going to do that. He's going to talk himself up in any way or have the talent talk him up,
right.
So I mean, good soldiers like Jim Ross and Jericho and all these guys getting 5 million plus a year. Yeah, Tony's my bestest friend,
Right.
and a wink
all
and a
the
nod.
Guys he lets in are going to tell him how great his show was.
Yeah, the guys that are getting those types of paychecks without having to deal with Vince and that type of road schedule that Vince demands. Yeah, man, they're going to get, you can make 5 million in WWE. You just had to work for it.
Right.
Here, you just have to show up and say, yeah, I'm available Wednesdays. I mean,
At least one Wednesday.
Yeah, come on, man. I mean, it is what it is. Like, this is a fucking joke. This is Vince Russo WCW. This is Vince Russo TNA. I feel bad for Ospreay. That was a terrible decision, in my opinion. I would have took all that money and that hype and went to WWE. Hopefully Jay White can get this shit off of him soon and get to WWE. All these guys are going to be huge stars if they decide to go back to WWE or just go back to Japan in general. But this is awful.
How great would it be if Ospreay didn't really sign anything yet, and he was just like December 31st? He was. I think I'm just gonna change my mind here.
But see, here's the thing, right? What was the point in it?
Right.
What was the point?
There was none.
This
because
is what
now
I'm
it's
saying.
going to be another 3 months before we see him on their TV.
Yeah, he's under contract with New Japan until the end of January. So he'll do the Dome, which he'll lose. That's a whole nother story. And then do you debut him as part of Sting's retirement thing? Like, is that all part of the package? Is that what he thinks is going to pop a big number? No. I mean, not with Sting. I'm saying like part of that pay-per-view is to see Will Ospreay again in AEW, which is stupid because he was already there, right? I mean, we see him a whole bunch of times. So I don't know. It's fucking, it's awful.
Yep. Anything else you wanted to get to?
No, I think we covered everything. Yeah, it's just bad.
What about the overall state of Adam Cole?
Hey, he has AIDS, right? Like looks like he has AIDS on his face.
I swear to God, I didn't think you were gonna say it.
He looks awful. I did want to talk about that because that just shows how much he doesn't care.
Right.
Because at the, like we've all met Adam and we know how much he loves wrestling, like we all do. None of us would have showed up to a pay-per-view not tanned, not beards tightened up, not, what little he could possibly do, he would have done to look better, right?
Dude,
And
I think it's
it's
the
the
environment. It's gotta be.
that's what I'm saying. It's they don't care. It's the same thing when Kushida was in NXT and he was wearing literally his jeans and sneakers that he showed up to the arena in his last few months. That's their way of saying, me no likey, I'm going home soon,
Right, but what I'm saying is like in WWE, you're not even allowed to show up in jeans and sneakers.
That's what I'm saying. That's they can do it there, so they will. It's like
It's
it's
this.
like give them an inch, they'll take a mile situation. They're giving them miles and miles and miles, and they don't care if they hang themselves.
Yeah.
Like they're just kind of like, it's cool. I'm just glad you showed up because I'm paying you all this money. I'm just glad you're here. Like he's just happy to shoot the shit with them for 20 minutes before the show, Tony Khan. I
Dude,
mean, come
yeah,
on,
they're
man.
in like I feel like half these guys show up there in whitey tighties with pee stains.
Yeah.
Like
Like
it's
they don't care, bro. There's no one to answer to there. What is Tony going to tell them? What is he going to do? If you show up like shit at WWE and then you hear that your name was talked badly about you to Triple H, you'd be shitting bricks in the corner of the building waiting for an ass chewing. Right? Right. Yeah. And then who knows what kind of repercussions are going to happen months to come. So you're always on edge, and that's what makes, I mean, look at Keith Lee. He looks like he's 104 years old. Come on, man.
Dude,
None of these guys, dude.
it's crazy because like when this thing first started and you would see Tony Khan on TV in the back or whatever, he was in a suit with his
Right.
hair done and he had his glasses on and he looked like a businessman who was running a business who gave a shit about something. And then a few months went by and then the next time you saw him, his hair looked like he brushed it with a brick of fucking C4.
Yeah.
And he was wearing a pair of sweatpants.
It's just, I don't know.
I'm just mind boggled that anybody goes on national television in a pair of sweatpants to begin with.
It's just bad from top to bottom, and they know it. They have to know it. There's no way none of them are watching this back and being like, man, that was really good. Like, They're not. They're just not. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm good here.
Yeah. Hopefully WWE does something interesting coming up. So
I hope so, because if we're relying on AEW for us to have something to talk about,
this is awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what next week is Survivor Series, right?
Yes.
So I mean, it'll be a better show to talk about, but let's see if you know who shows up or not, which I don't think so, but we'll see.
I mean,
I'm assuming Orton is showing up. That's who I think.
You think so? Oh, because they have to have a fifth man on each team?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Orton's one of them for sure. But do they do both in one night?
Why not? If you can do Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole in one night, I think you can get away with fucking CM Punk and Randy Orton in one night.
I'm not saying that they can't. I'm just saying that
would they
say yeah, would they, and would it be more beneficial to save one of them for the Rumble? That's all I'm saying.
Because they're smart enough to pop two numbers.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Like if they're already selling out with fans even possibly wondering if he's going to be there.
Right.
But then the other thing is, how quickly will they hijack that building, be chanting his name all night?
if he is or isn't?
Just in general.
It doesn't matter. You think we're there little red lights turning on the camera. A bad theme song is going to play, and then it's just going to be CM Punk chants all night long.
I think that crowd's going to be very pro CM Punk that night. That's what I think.
Well, if that's the case, then he better be in that building.
That's, yeah. So, I don't know.
All right. Well, motherfuckers, we've been at this for about an hour and 20 minutes, which is about fucking a half hour longer than we like to do this for. So I'm going to run the gimmick. Rick, I'll catch you next week, and hopefully we'll have some good shit to talk about.
Hopefully.
All right. For Ricky Reyes, I'm Kevin Fulton. This has been episode 32 of Podfluxxx. Run the gimmick.